Market vitals. Those are levels. Those vital levels you can use to triage the market. HFR. HFR. Summer running around, man. A lot of projects. Definitely a lot of projects. Matt, did you see Google has a place called Brandon Falls?
I did.
I thought that
somebody posted it. Yeah.
You know what?
Somebody changed the name on Google Maps. You can do that. You can call it whatever you want. And then Google comes in and changes it back. So yeah, good fun. But I hear Biden is going to be, instituting another emergency executive order by the end.
We'll talk about that in a second because there's complex systems at work. Matt, let's talk about one complex system, and that is nebula. Nebulae. Is that multiple nebulas? A nebulae, or is a nebulae singular?
Unsure.
Matt, this is from the James Webb, and I'm calling this the "fuck you" nebula, as the universe seems to be flipping the bird. I only say that.
I think it looks like the genie in the bottle, so somebody let it out.
Somebody let the genie in the bottle.
That's the Rorschach.
I don't know. Hey, please share and retweet right now. Let's try that. Share and retweet the broadcast. We're going to talk price discovery. We're talking. Well, you know what, Matt? Let me stick on the nature thing here, and please give me some leeway here to expound upon this, because I love nature, and this natural wonder. I think what happened here is he did a good job of evading the paparazzi. I mean, who wants this shot, right? But what happened was, Matt, is he was on the beach and somebody called Greenpeace because there was a beached whale. They thought it was a beluga that got beached. And so Greenpeace, and then there's people that follow Greenpeace all over the planet, see what they're doing. And unbelievably, it's not a beached beluga. I'm just trying to think of what else it could be. Maybe it's a tampon. It's a giant tampon for Rosie O'Donnell. I don't know, or you or me, because men can have babies, so we must menstruate too.
Oh, I just thought I had a bloody nose and I put a tampon in that.
Elon, now let me just do some threads of logic here. He is supremely white. Does that make him a white supremacist? I don't know. These are the things that, my mind, it just races. It's races. And or maybe he's the incredibly rare albino African American. I mean, he is African American.
Yes.
And maybe he's the albino. Anyway, Elon, with the laser beam nipples too, which he's like a naked mole rat. And he
kind of looks like, you should definitely check his DNA with Rita's. You got a picture of Rita you can bring up?
I wish I could, because you hair him up and he's Rita.
I'm telling you.
Anyway, I got to tell you what, he's actually been very gracious with the barbs that he's been getting. And this is, it reminded me of the trading floor, Matt. When my brother came on the floor with a perm, right? He goes and he gets talked into by his significant other to get a perm. And he looks so ridiculous. And the barbing that you take, like the barbing.
I got to question your brother. I got to question your brother. Why?
Dude, I was howling and calling him out. And same way here on Elon. Elon, I like you have been challenged with the COVID 25 that I keep gaining and losing. Anyway, I don't know where that goes, other than.
Well, since you like nature so much, I also like nature, and this story was even more interesting. I thought. I don't know if you saw this one. Since we are in the summertime camping season and it's hot as you go higher into the altitudes, you're getting into bear territory. So this 400-pound bear killed this camper by breaking her neck, snapping her spine at 4 a.m. after she scared it off, and then he came back to kill her.
A 400-pound grizzly too is like a cub, man. That's tiny.
Yeah. Out in
fact,
Montana. Out in Montana.
I'm watching this season of Alone, and
there he is. He came back. He came back because she shooed him away. He didn't like that, so he came back, snapped her neck. Yum yum.
it looks like a relatively urban campsite.
Right. I mean, he was definitely feeding himself around here, right?
Oh my goodness.
The chicken coop incident, July 6th, the fatality site, the Brand Bar Museum. Yeah, this, the Blackfoot angler and supplies fishing thing. So it must be right by the river. Good eating over there. Yeah, dude.
I hate camping. I hate it
too. There you go.
Man, let's look at Camping World, because everybody's going to be out of a house. And let's talk about price discovery. This is every day I throw Matt just a curveball on a stock of price discovery. Are they public?
I don't know. You tell me.
Dick's Sporting Goods, Camping World. I don't know. Hold on a second.
You find it for me if it is.
While I find this, Matt, there's a whole lot going on, but why don't you bring up the matrix of people that have reported and bring up the matrix.
Yeah, we're just starting the earnings season in the S&P 500. Today, you can't find anything red except for the two things that kind of had earnings. That J&J had earnings today. They're down 1%. And IBM had earnings. They're down 7%. Everything else, green. Netflix coming afterwards. Listen, Netflix is up. Netflix is up $7 or $8. It probably got oversold on the subscription downgrades the last couple quarters. I have a feeling it's going to squeeze some more retail because everybody's short right now. The wrong time, right? Sell it when it goes up. Don't sell it when it goes down. Let's just keep
exactly. And we talked about the longer term setup. There's plenty of room to rip.
These things can go higher. All of them. Maybe this earnings season again. Everybody's coming in so bearish. Why wouldn't we go higher? And that's
well, here, think about that for a second. Everybody is so bearish, and most things haven't felt any pain yet. So their earnings aren't terrible.
No,
their guidance,
they're not, and I don't think they're going to be terrible.
Right. Well, we're super early on the pain cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Way too early on the pain cycle.
Yep.
Matt, CWH. Interesting little 3-day here. Really trying to climb off the bottom here, as we're all going to be living in tents and be happy. Camping World Holdings, for sure, tradable. That's what we supply here. Trade lift. That's what we try. That's what we try to, anyways.
It's got earnings. It's got earnings coming up. I'm not sharing. Hold on. It's got earnings coming up August 2nd. It's been beaten down, cut in half from 40, let's call it 50 down here to 20, got down to about 22.
And still nowhere near the
COVID low.
Yeah, danger, Will Robinson.
Because, we'll need campers, but nobody will be able to afford them when we're down here either. So.
Whenever I think of camping, I think of s'mores.
And that went up 20x. That went from 4 to 50. So let's call it a 15x or whatever it was. But it kind of got back to the lower end of value. And why wouldn't we bounce here? Just because everything's good right now. Everything is good.
In a world, camping world. In a camping
Russia
world.
was going to cut off supplies to Nord Stream because they couldn't reopen it. Now they're reopening it. Tomorrow they may not be. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on what's going on? There's total chaos, whether it's in Dutch, in the Holland, in France, Spanish.
You know what? Honestly,
Hungary, they're all rioting. Every one of these, Italy, they're fucking rioting. I mean, it's all normal though, I guess. All normal.
Well, let's face it. They've been pushing the narrative. We said we didn't want to talk about it, but I'm afraid we have to. Because the narrative and the whisper is that there's going to be, a climate agenda. And let's just start here, because here's a reason why so many people are pissed off and why people are hating elites, because this is going to come probably. And then, here's an elite, Prince Harry, the do-gooder, right? climate change wreaking havoc on our planet, Prince Harry says. Meanwhile, we have to but
This
meanwhile, 21
this,
private
this from
jets.
this from the guy whose mom is dead and his dad is Arab.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And that, and so it's the whole climate thing, climate. And I shared an article with the group, and I actually found it from a different thread on climate. And let me share. And here's the problem. I can't share. That's one problem. The second problem is that people are not going to stand for the pain that these policies are causing them. And that's why there's pushback for sure on so many of these World Economic Forum driven policies. But this was the article and it was from at least a year ago, the Ethical Skeptic. And it just talks about how the CO2 in particular, the CO2 narrative on CO2 being the culprit that's causing global warming is broken. It's a broken narrative. And that the model is way more complex, obviously. And a lot of it has to do with the Earth and the core. And here's just three of them. The drifting of the magnetic field, the slowing of the rotation of the Earth. And then there's another one here. Upper mantle volatility. You cannot tell people, listen, it's going to be $9 to fill your gas because it's CO2 when that narrative is broken. I mean, if it was clear and if it was a clear and present danger, and that's what it was, and everybody could agree on it, there's too many smart people that are pushing back, just like there were smart people that are pushing back on the jab narrative. So now they've invested at least a decade, 2 decades now. When did
80s, 4 decades.
When did our friend Al Gorleone
80s, four decades.
Clinton,
80s, 4 decades.
4 decades. And maybe it's more complex than
and we're still not
CO2.
and Manhattan's still not underwater.
I don't know. My point is that you can have all of these things and talk about them, but when you start pinching people the way that people are getting pinched now because of your policies, you're going to get pushback. And that's what's happening. And people are fed up with it. And I think that's what's going on. It's been rules for me and or for thee and not me. And I get to act one way and you'll be happy acting the way we tell you can act. And people are like, hey, you know what? I don't think that's gonna.
So listen, Netflix got crushed. Facebook did. It's rallying. It's up about 25. Went from low 150s to 175, and they all came out with the bad news. That's not the news you should sell. Again, if they're telling you, you're the last to know.
And you know what? Bring up either Apple or Facebook because Apple's we're not going to hire because we're not going to be able to sell. Obviously,
right.
News yesterday crushed the market. The market is shrugging it off right now. But what are some of the higher levels in those two, in particular, individual issues? Apple.
I'm just going to bring up Meta because Apple's
okay.
Overcooked. We've looked at Apple recently. I mean, it's gone from 384 to 155 and is down here 175. So again, this is a long-term chart, and it actually has gotten close to the COVID low, 138. Still not there, but it got close. But here on the short-term charts, as we fractal out, you can see that it's starting to rally. And why wouldn't it rally to 200, 240? I mean, that was the last high, 240. And then 240 was like where it broke down from. So that would 250 maybe it might be the area that
nice area again. You love finding
150 to
areas
250. Like let's see. The low was probably right here around what was it 150, and it came down 234. Half of that gets you to 270 or so. Maybe up in this value zone, which is big fat area up in there. Why wouldn't we rally?
Are you asking me?
I won't. I mean, I'll be happily waiting for myself to sell it there, but
the don't. I will tell you this: that Matt is the don't, and he's a patient don't. And there are enough tradable things where you can be that.
Yeah, you can
You
get
know, you
long
used to-
oil. You can get long oil every dip. If you want to get long stuff, get long oil.
all right, Matt, I don't know what else we could talk about in these lazy days of summer. We talked
Well,
about the,
how about my boy Pujols making it to the semis, the old man, yesterday in the home run derby. Lee's pick, of course, loses again. He's always wrong. So he went with the retail. He's going to go for the third time in a row. Fade, fade, fade.
and Soto. I didn't watch any of it. Did you watch it? Here's
I
the
just
crazy
watched.
thing.
I watched the semis and the finals. It was on in the background.
You know, I bought ESPN Plus, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
so
gone up. It's gone up 40% from $5
right,
to
I'm
$7.
ready to cancel because I'm supposed to be able to watch it, right?
Mhm.
On ESPN Plus. When you load it up on the TV, it's like, who is your cable provider?
Yeah, you have to have Hulu
It's
or whatever.
right. So I put in Ben Broadband because we do have basic cable from Ben Broadband, right?
Okay.
And I was able to watch things like a month ago, and now it's stuck in this continuous loop of you need to re-verify, and
Yeah.
there's no way to re-verify.
No, you do. You have to go to like ESPN Activate or something, or do something.
I've
there.
done it twice.
I do it.
and
I
this-
do it. No matter how many times you do it, you have to do it again and again and again and again and again. This is the problem with the technology today. It doesn't work well.
It does not work well. Matt, speaking of technology, how about David Faraday jumping to the live? I mean, I think that's even a bigger dagger to the pompous nerd.
Well, yeah, because
they've been driving.
he was the biggest drunk. He got sober, thankfully for him. He's living, and I mean, the guy's done amazing things. I mean, I love him as an announcer because he tells it like we would tell it. I like the type of announcing he does.
He is authentic and mostly
He's
honest.
a player. He played.
Mostly right, exactly.
He knows the game. He knows the characters, and they want to talk to him because he's authentic. He is real. He's not Jim Nance. He's not trying to protect anything. And I like him, and I think that is good for again, if they want to continue with the model of gambling on every shot, then David Faraday is definitely a good start to that process. They should also bring back Brent Musburger since he's in the gambling business. Bring him back. He says stupid things and says it just like it is too. Like bring that old guy back. I don't think he's ever covered golf, but bring him back.
Oh,
I mean, it's probably going to be good for his gambling business, his consulting business. Anyway,
who else what else would be great for it would be who's Al Michaels. Al Michaels, talk about a swearer on the golf course, I'm told.
And he's a don't.
He's a don't, is he?
Oh, yeah.
He comes from the.
He likes short selling. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Al Michaels is a 89-year-old short seller.
All right, Matt. Back to reality here for a second.
How about? I know where you're going to go. So yeah, go ahead.
All right. So this is from Reuters. The United States will impose harsh consequences on countries that break the international economic order. Whose international economic order? One must ask immediately. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said, we've talked about the BRICS, Matt, and it's going to be talk about alphabet soup of all the countries.
Well, everybody's
wanted.
Yeah,
Right.
Putin, Erdogan, they've all been in. Everybody's in Iran right now, and they've cut deals with Iran to get more flow. And then they reopened the Nord Stream 1 for Germany. So that's why everything's rallying today is because of this, including oil. So oil's up, bonds are down. Bonds were getting crushed earlier. They were down a full dollar. And the market's going bananas because retail is still alive. They have not been killed. This is why we have such a long way to go. And even Morgan Stanley came out today and said, we're just beginning the bull market or the bear market. But that's not the reason. That should not be the day you get short when they say that, right? Those aren't the thing. Those aren't the headlines you want to short. I guess that's what we want to impose and impart on people today is that impart versus impose. We want to suggest that, when all this negative news hits, that's when you buy. Unfortunately, it's such a upside down Alice in Wonderland game, but that is when you buy. And then when they love it, that's when you sell it. So, I mean, these guys need to get short. So they say that stuff just to jam it up your ass. I mean, they do it all the time. It's hilarious to watch. Like, I don't get why people don't, I don't understand why they can't look at it like they do a football game or a baseball game and say, hey, why don't we squeeze bunt here? It's, there's a guy in third and we're up 2. Let's get another run. It's the game that goes on within the game. And I think that is a big part of what we're trying to expose here. The hardest thing to do is to buy weakness. The hardest thing to do is to sell strength. But that's when you want to do those things.
And that's why you need to have time frame specific levels, and you need to adhere to the risk on those time frame specific levels.
Right.
And if be patient.
And just because
levels,
the old Jewish grandma yelling is trying to like spank our bottoms here. I mean,
well, I think it's more important that she's trying they're trying to, it's a shot across the bow. Let's just call it what it is. It's a shot across the bow.
Yeah.
And my wondering are they seeing that that BRICS it's no longer BRICS. It's going to be 30 countries like the G20.
Yeah, well, it's going to be everybody
G30.
Against, yeah. And even a lot of the European nations are going to go, well, our survival can't depend on US and UK anymore. Right? I mean, that's
all right, so with all that being said, the euro's been rallying, the dollar's been taking it a little bit. We both still think euro much lower, dollar much higher.
Yep.
Bring up either one of those just on a longer term basis to see where a possible sell zone is.
Well, I mean, we've just talked about it with the euro, but I mean, it's rallying because we play round number bingo, 100. Everybody, they're not going to take it out in the first pass. So we talked about this 2 days ago when it hit it. It's like, buy it because it's
all right. So it jagged around for quite a bit around the 106 level. Do you think it's got a chance to get back up to that level to sell?
I mean, again, I would just draw kind of a.
Well, bring it up. Bring it up.
Okay, I can bring it up. I mean, again, for me, it might get back to the value zone 106. That would be a really lofty area, but I think more like, for me, like the last high to the recent low.
4.5. I'm going to say it right now. 104.5. 104.5 HFR. Quick out of the box.
I'm going to go 104.90 or so. That's the golden ratio, and that's right where it starts to get to the big part of all this. So 105 to 107.5, that would be the area I'd look to sell, depending on how aggressive you want to be.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And still, I got all-time lows as my target.
Oh yeah, it's going 80 cents. I just think that the volatility, here's the thing. Volatility has been so quiet. We have earnings, we have Fed. I think by the end of next 6 to 8 weeks, we're going to start seeing like we are. Today is not a good trading day, but we're up huge. We're up huge in all the indices, but it's all one way. So unless you bought yesterday, and by the way, I did get long yesterday down at 881 on the NASDAQ, but I sold that already at 12.1 and we're at 12.2 now. So I'm just sitting here dangling my feet into the lake and waiting for whatever may come in the earnings. I mean, we've got Netflix tonight, we've got all kinds of stuff coming. So it's a pause and wait time.
Bada bing, bada bingo. Speaking of bingo, Matt, the grains taking a bit of a schmeezing, and with the grains in the summer, there's a storm cloud that deposits rain somewhere and it can affect the market.
Right.
Very dangerous and skittish trading, summer grain markets. Anyway, I just noticed that we don't even have to look at it. Here's one thing that we have to look at though, and I'll share. And I had a confirming email.
Wait, before you do that, I want to just go back to the elites a little bit. Did you see this one? And one of the new MPs that they just elected or voted for is deep WEF. So, it's interesting though. The one puppet falls, they bring in another puppet, and here we are. And now he's calling out again, the elites eating themselves. You love this stuff. This is what you live for. So I can't believe you didn't, put that in there.
I didn't. Listen, I'm fairly disconnected because it's just a much better place to be. I don't have my head in the sand. I don't have my head in the sand.
Hold on. This is another, but this, since we're talking about what's going on here, the problems that we're seeing in Europe are not going away.
No.
And this crisis is just because they turned it on today for Thursday, it's going to get turned off again. Germany's going to be effed. And this stuff's going to have to be probably propped up, nationalized, right? So you got that. And then you got Javi saying again, money, money, money. French government offered this morning to pay 10 billion to fully nationalize their electricity. This is happening. We're telling you now before it happens, it's happening.
Well, I don't see how that's good long term.
Right.
Where the energy grid is fully.
When you can shut down the energy grid, people wake up.
Exactly.
And I think that's what I think Biden's going to be joining the party and doing something along those lines. Hey, and it's going to be seen as bullish initially, and that's why we're rallying.
How could any kind
I don't know what the full narrative is yet. I don't write these
How
things.
could anything that shuts down the economy because of CO2 emissions be bullish for fucking anything? It can't be. Zero chance.
Because what
unless you long guppy futures,
No, but I think this is what they're. I think they're gonna push like another infrastructure type bullshit. Like all this money is gonna come for that, right? It's all gonna be government money to be pushing these programs and these things, and that will be seen as bullish initially. Of course, it's horrible long term, but again, markets don't care. They're like short term. They're like, oh, buy, squeeze, right?
Right on. All right, Matt, let me share again a trade that I'm keeping my eyes on. I've talked about it before, and it was confirmed in a private Twitter messaging with a very knowledgeable person in the hog complex. And this is the DSFAB calendar spread. Now, there's a couple of things working here. First of all, hogs, the herd going forward is less than it has been previously, so it's bullish. We have bullish news for the hog market in general. The second thing is you have a roll cycle coming up here in September for the October roll, where there'll be, if you're long, you'll be selling October, buying December. All those things are going to affect this spread, and the bullishness in the hog herd going out goes well out into next year. My point being, this is generally a good calendar spread to participate in, selling D's, buying Feb hogs, especially if it gets anywhere near, you'll see the highs here both times around $1.50, almost up to $1, but I would say that was probably a very skewed thing with very little volume when it went there the first time. So anyway, as we go towards October or to the beginning of September here, the last part of the summer, if they can get this spread back up to the $1.50 to $1 level, it's just a great spread to put on. It's a function of the flow of the market, not of the reality on the ground with hog pricing. And it's one I trade every year. It's one I pay attention to every year. We saw the June-July spread that I talked about earlier in the year being the same type of thing. And again, there's only a couple of these hog spreads that I participate in every year, and this is for sure one that's on my radar. Again, this is early right now, and in fact, right now, I would say you could actually be forward D's here as long as they don't take out this 3-day low that they put in here. That low is negative 345. I don't see why you couldn't participate long D short Feb on the way up and then flip it around somewhere around $1.50, and especially if it takes like into the roll here as we get into September through August and into September. Again, keep it on your radar because the fundamentals are not going to support long-term decent Feb being that close in price, which is what ultimately happens when this roll happens. Anyway, wanted to bring it up, wanted to share it. Things we put on the radar, Matt. That's part of your trading methodology, right? Is having things on the radar.
I'm going to share this since I shared it with you, just to give a shout out. And again, to authenticate what we've been talking about. Unusual Whales, okay, posted this earlier today, and I sent this to you. President Biden considering declaring a national climate emergency as soon as this week, says the Washington Post. So it's not Unusual Whales saying this. It is the WAPO. And who this noise comes from is important. WAPO is on the WEF side. They are the elites. So again, keep this in mind. This is not you and I making this up. This is coming from a national recognized journalistic endeavor, whatever you want to call them.
Narrative organization.
Narrative organizations.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what they are. Narrative organizations.
But the other thing I can't believe that you're not having some fun with on these slow days is, this, like the new haircut.
Yeah. Don't even get me started.
Come on.
Don't even get me started. It's so brutal. And he is Dumb and Dumber.
I mean, it looks like I cut his hair with I don't know, like rose cutting shears.
Dude, he's getting brutally
Castro Jr.
booed.
is not looking good. He's not looking good.
He is getting booed everywhere he goes in Canada. And it's getting harder and harder for the narrative organizations that in Edward Scissorhands Lee, exactly. The narrative organizations in the Great White North are finding it harder and harder to find snippets where it's actually anybody saying something nice to the guy.
Yeah, but here's again, we're not making this up. This was just over the weekend. This is what he said. Climate action incentive payments have landed in people's bank accounts. So they're paying people to shut the F up. And if like this guy, propaganda. In the People's Republic of Canada, if you do what the ruling party says, you'll get incentive payments. But if you dare to oppose anything Castro Jr. says, they'll freeze your bank accounts and fire you from your job.
Canada has fallen, Matt.
And you want to go visit. And you want to go.
You know what? We haven't looked at that in a while because, honest to God, the climate agenda and a strong Canadian dollar are two things that are diametrically impossible to happen. Let me say that again. I mean, it is dead flat sideways, so we don't even have to bring the chart up. But how do you get rid of Canada is a natural
No, it's not sideways.
resource.
It's actually had a significant rally, and I'll show it just on a short-term chart, a 15-minute or 1 hour, excuse me. And again, it's just below trend lines and coming back into value zone where, again, it'll fall again. This thing will go to freaking zero the way Trudeau's running this country.
Exactly. It's a natural resource country. It's only 30 million plus people. Right. But they got a ton of oil. They got a ton of timber.
Yep.
I remember, Matt, back in the day, they did more
China's
money
buying it all
in British Columbia, purple haze bud than they did in timber. But those days are over, as you can grow weed everywhere, pretty much. But yeah, it's a natural resource country. 39.3 million people. I'm going to
leave, and I'm going to throw this out there because this is where we are.
Yeah. Stay home from the jab. Stay home because oil is bad. Just stay home. I'm so sick of staying home, man. All right. That's what we got. That's all we got. Please visit us at marketvitals.io. Please share, retweet, plagiarize the broadcast. And again, visit Amazon.com and do your part by buying some Shrimp Mojo and put it on anything. Put it on crickets if you like. I bet you Cricket Mojo would be. Maybe that's the.
What would you deep fry those crickets in? Is there cricket oil that you can?
No, peanut oil by Jimmy Carter, the last great liberal president. Anyway, take your summer vacation to Brandon Falls this year, and
right off the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah, you can recreate the scene yourselves. Falling off a bicycle like he did is actually incredibly hard to do.
Not if you have toe clips and you don't know how to ride a bike.
And thank you, Elon Musk, for being so gracious in the incredible ripping of your doughy white Pillsbury body. Anyway, I only say that because I'm fighting the fight, man. He really needs to get some sun, though. I mean, that's just not healthy. Okay. You can't be supplementing vitamin D when the sun is, and he's in Texas. I mean, Elon, a half hour a day, nude out in the back. Do yourself a favor. And I don't know what we can do with this laser beam.
And I'm just gonna tease this in lightly since we're coming into the season. Top 10 running backs in the college football, according to this guy, Anthony Triche. Kansas State guy, Deuce. Gotta like that name. Double Deuce Vaughn. Like that.
Deuce Vaughn. That is a great, come on.
You got the Texas guy, and then of course you got two. By the way, you have two Michigan guys on this list. Let you tell me what that means.
One of the guys grew up in,
No.
like
Zach Charbonnet was their leading running back about 4 years ago. Now he's transferred to UCLA, the other Big Ten, the West Coast Big Ten.
Speaking of narratives breaking down, the Pac-10, you can't go. Yeah. Anyway, congratulations, David Faraday. Obviously ringing the register huge. We saw, Matt, that Cameron, the winner of the British Open, immediately won the British Open and then signed with the Live tournament for 90 million.
Did he sign?
That's what the headline that we saw.
Okay.
Careful of the high horse that you peg yourself on in a world that thrives in competitiveness. I got to tell you that high horse, I don't think I'm pretty sure it's completely defeated. Whenever you're talking from the high horse and why people shouldn't do something or other, and it's strictly because you think you have the moral high ground, that's pretty much been defeated throughout history. So whenever I see it,
that's the elite game plan right there. High horse.
Exactly.
The high horse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Gracefully, it takes time, but most of the time, time is the killer of that narrative. All right, that's what we got. Thank you.
Hold on, I want to get your comments maybe on this little nugget too, because BRICS is happening.
What are dirhams?
That's their currency, my friend.
I thought it was rubles.
No, this is India's.
Yeah, well, why is Russia requesting
because
oil
they
payments?
they need some,
They need to flush out their balance sheet.
Yeah, they need to flush it out. So I figured you'd give me a little Indian voiceover, and
I'm telling you right now, Matt. Those payments need to be here at 7-Eleven on the dot. There it is. Trading floor. Offend everybody publicly when you're wrong.
And do you have any thoughts on?
Wait a second. This is another trading floor motto. Offend everybody publicly. When you're wrong, apologize privately. That's how you do it. That's exactly how you do it. I thought it was interesting that India wouldn't allow the Pfizer vaccine in their country because Pfizer refused to do local trials. That's what I read anyway. That would seem, commensurate with the narrative that maybe they weren't authentic in everything that they published on their trials, and that when a company, a country wanted local trials where they couldn't make sure that the efficacy was perfect, they said, you know what? I know you got 2 billion people, but there's enough around the world that we can sell to without that oversight. So
right.
I don't know. I'm a skeptic, Matt. That's just the way I am. That's just me. All right.
And I'm the don't. That's just me.
And you're the don't.
Hey,
together.
Any thoughts on the remarriage since, the remarriage of J-Lo and Bennifer, the Bennifer relationship? Any thoughts?
Here's my thought.
You know how many guys, like in the article I was skimming this morning, how many guys she's been married to? It's like 15.
That's a damn good run,
I forgot half of them. Like, holy shit, I forgot about it. She was with P. Diddy. She was with this guy. She was with this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. The woman cannot be alone. Wow.
Matt, my thought is that entertainment elites are just as crazy as everybody, all the other elites in the world. Right. And to think that I would give,
like, you got to wonder like what's going through Ben Affleck's mind. He had Jennifer Garner right after J-Lo, and now he's going back. Like, she seems fairly normal. Like,
is this a PG show or our show? Because I'll tell you exactly what I think.
I want to hear it from you. I want you to tell me. I want you to tell
privately, Matt. One can can pull a ship from the ocean. It's powerful. It's powerful. How about this? And it is powerful. And again, talk about the irony of the narrative. Did you see the thing that where they don't want anthropologists to classify ancient bones that they recover as men or women because that would be unscientific, apparently.
Yeah, I had that one in the show notes that you didn't show.
That, and the other thing that I find amazing is how comedy sometimes leads in painting the picture of the future. And I was reminded of one of my favorite movies, Mike Myers, So I Married an Axe Murderer, right? And in the movie, he says to his mom, "Mom, I find it troubling that you call the Weekly World News and Report the paper, because it's, it was a rag like the National Enquirer, like, space aliens." And she said, "Charlie, this paper, it's got lots of facts. Here, right here. Man gives birth. That's a fact." A decade ago, that was hysterical comedy. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know. It's a crazy new world that we live in. And anyway, that's what I think. My 3 cents. My 3 sons.
Is that because of inflation, the 3 cents?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Just checking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I got. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for being you. It's thanks.
Lee's saying Elon needs some sunblock. That you can't. No, you got to go nude.
I'll give him some of my back. At least he could have some of my. At least he could have some of my back hair.
The sunblock blocks the vitamin D absorption, does it not? I mean, I'm not a biologist, but I would think so. The key is 15 minutes with his lily white skin, nude. He's not, dude. There's a whole thread on Lee saying he'll fry his nuts. There's a whole thread on the health benefits of sunning your stinky star. I don't even want to get, now it's really going sideways. Supposedly, he's supposed to do the reverse crab walk and the upside down turtle and spread them for some vitamin D. I don't know. I'm not making that up either. You can check it out. It's a fact. All right. It's going sideways now. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Bob.
Please, too much information.